Waiting on the red light. Oh boy. Everything's slower right now. All right. Hello, everyone. It is the 21st of July, and this is our regular night or Wednesday morning, wherever you are, kind of DPRG outing for robot-friendly people. And we'll just go through whatever we've been working on the last week and like to do next week and shoot the breeze, basically. Robot shooting the breeze. So I'm going to have to bug out, but please do carry on, guys. Have fun.
All right. Take care, Carl. Hey, Ray, do you want to start?
Sure. I actually got, yeah, it's a 380 kilogram centimeter servo. I've been waiting for this thing for months.
Holy crap.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Wow.
But came with a horn and a mounting bracket, and pretty powerful.
That servo can go most anything, I think, just by sheer weight. That's a big old servo.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. You can run it on either 12 volts or 24 volts. I've been playing around with another linear actuator. I'll probably be able to get it all together tomorrow. I had to do some machining on it, and it's been kind of a work in progress. I've been trying to fit together things that I had. I decided to use these little skate bearings that were, 3/8 inch ID with 3/8 threaded rod. And I found it was a 1 inch OD steel pipe that those bearings fit inside, and so that was perfect. And actually happened to have the right size ream from my father-in-law's stuff. He had all kinds of machining equipment before he died, and so now I've got it. So all those things just kind of fell into place, and along with some of the make block stuff, the cog pulleys and belts and stuff like that. So actually have all the pieces and parts here in the bin. So I made a little adapter for a motor. It's got a hole for the tube and then a hole for the motor. And kind of what I find with a lot of the things that you 3D print, especially if it's a circle, it's actually, a bunch of segments of a circle. It's not a perfect circle. I typically have to make it like 1 to 2 millimeters bigger in diameter to fit things like that. Because of the, like I said, it doesn't print a circle. It prints like, I don't know, a many-sided
polygon.
Yeah. So it tends to make it a little bit smaller. So that's what I find. So I had to do quite a bit of sanding. I had a little drum sander that you can mount in a drill press and sand the inside of it to get the edges off. And once I did that, it actually fit. And it's probably Ackley's rule of 3. The distance between the two center of the tube and the center of the motor probably should have been 1 to 2 millimeters a little further apart. But maybe round 2 or round 3 will take care of that. So, anyway, so that's pretty much what I've been working on. We're still going through all the junk. We moved out here in 2008, but I hadn't gone through or purged, everything from tax folders and files to that kind of stuff. So my wife and I go over to the metal building upstairs, and we have to shred all of that stuff. So we've made I think this will be our 5th trip to the dump of shredded boxes of records that it's just like shredded material that my wife has passed through the shredder. So not a whole lot of fun, but it's got to be done. So.
What's weird about that? you shred something and now you can't recycle it. Our recyclers here in Dallas will not take shredded paper.
Really?
But you guys live in Texas. Don't you have like a 50-gallon oil drum out back and you just burn it?
Actually, yeah, two of them. I actually made this thing called, we call it Mr. Burning Man. It's an old hot water heater that kind of looks like a man standing there. But yeah, it takes a lot of time to burn, and it's the pollution, and so it's much nicer to do it in an air-conditioned, loft area than it is to.
My problem today,
I feed this thing paper a few sheets at a time.
Yeah.
Fire and smoke going up. I got neighbors calling, folks that show up, in the city. Yeah, it's
kind of a country thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, in fact,
we just call each other to make sure that it is a burning barrel, not the house burning kind of fire.
Yeah. I got friends that live out a couple hours east, Quitman, Winsboro, that kind of stuff, on like 40 acres of land out there. And he has like all these dump trucks and things we're just talking about. He rolls out there, and something he wants to really get rid of, he just digs him a big old hole, size of a big old swimming pool, throws his stuff in there, and when it gets full, he covers it over.
Oh, really?
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, or he burns it, just like Murray was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, we have in Fannin County, we have a dumpster that we can take stuff to, and it's kind of nice because nobody bothers us. You just, pull into the, I guess it's like the second precinct area, and you can stick in it whatever you want. So.
They don't charge you for that?
Nope. No, it's free.
We have to pay for our dump here.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Yeah, when you take stuff down to the dump, you have to pay by volume or by weight. I can't remember.
Yeah. Actually, the one in Collin County, we have to pay for that if we did there. But I don't like going to that dump. It's a huge mountain that you have to drive up, and they burn the gases off of it, so it's got these foul-smelling, sulfury, I don't know, rotten garbage kind of smells coming from it, and it's incredibly dusty. It's like if the wind blows, it's like, it's just a mess.
Kind of an apocalyptic landscape.
Oh yeah, it's and they're actually making a small mountain out of it, kind of like they did in Louisville. And I don't know if you guys, when you went to the makerspace, if you passed by that dump, that one smells just about as bad now because they're also burning the gases from it. So I don't know. I guess it's supposed to be better for the environment, but it certainly doesn't smell better. It's just too many people on the earth, I think, is what the issue is. So.
Could be.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, could you hold up that servo again and show it to us?
Yeah. So that's came with a servo horn, which is kind of nice. It's got a motor and a control board bolted to it. I don't know if you can see it or not.
So is that like one of those, you can buy those real slow turning motors. Is that like that? That's what it looks like.
It's similar to it, yeah. I think this one still does. I want to say, I forget what the specs are. It seems just about as fast as the larger servos, like one of these.
Yeah, the way they spec those is the time it takes to turn 60 degrees.
60 degrees, yeah.
60.
Yep. Right.
So I'm wondering, can you put a little flag on it and have it go?
Oh, I haven't powered it up yet. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the metal casting that thing's in looks remarkably like the metal casting that I had on my robot in 1979.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really similar.
Yep. Yeah, I think, it's supposed to have all metal gears inside. And, you can get things like that. Like here, I'd get it probably from Surplus Center. But,
how much was it, Ray?
I think this one was $60 including shipping, but MPGA had it for, I think, 100. It took a long time to get here though, so I was kind of surprised it came today. It's like, look at that. So, anyway, that's what I'm going to use for steering. And one of the links, I'm not certain who had it, but it may have been Dave Eckley. There was another guy that did. He retrofitted a John Deere lawnmower, and mine is now similar. I've got a hydrostatic drive, but it still has a combination clutch brake. So you push it, the first part of the travel is the clutch. It disengages the clutch, and then if you continue to press it, it actually actuates the brake. And he actually put a linear actuator on that. And I was thinking of doing the same because it will react much quicker than the hydrostatic drive if you just put it in neutral, because it disengages the belt to the hydrostatic unit. So that's what I was going to use my homemade one for, to actuate that. But it's kind of like an emergency stop, because without any power to the rear, to the hydraulic unit, it'll just stop. So anyway,
cool.
That's what's going on in my little world.
And that servo is for your steering?
Yeah. That one was pretty strong.
Yeah.
380 kilogram centimeters.
Wow.
Is what the...
Well, I just ran away from the screen because I just had a package arrive from Adafruit. Yay!
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 Can actually still get stuff in the mail.
Wow, cool. Yeah. Well, I guess I can start then. I'm not sure if I can share screens or anything here, but a little bit of news. That master-slave thing I did with I2C is kind of working, but it seems to get out of sync. High and low bytes get out of sync. So I'm probably going to rewrite it.
Please don't use that terminology anymore. That's verboten. No master-slave stuff.
Yeah, actually, you're laughing about that, but I actually did get an email from some guy in Romania actually asking me to not use that terminology in my Python code.
I saw that PR request come through, man, and I laughed. I had to laugh. I saw it. I started watching your repo, you know, and I get email when it comes through. And I'm like, what? Okay. What repo is? Oh, this is that repo. Oh, come on, man. Come on,
well,
really?
I mean, I get that the guy is really sincere, and I think he saves the world and all that. But I think he's kind of, I don't know. I think he misunderstands that there's no human slaves involved, and he actually wants to excise the actual word from the English language. It's like anyway. So yeah actually, I was probably more offended by that than anything else. But so anyway, that master-slave thing is going to end up being rewritten both on the master and the slave side, so that it only sends one byte rather than a pair, because it seems to get out of sync about 50% of the time. And but it does work. Like I can share a screen. I'm not sure if it's that interesting, but so let's see now. I need to share my screen. Let's see. I've forgotten how to do this. You present now. There we are.
Yes.
Your entire screen. And share. Never done. Okay, I think it's working. Tell me when I'm sharing my screen. It doesn't really tell me.
Not yet. There you go. Oh,
there you go.
Oh yeah, no, it tells me. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is actually the output from my robot. I'm SSHing into my robot. And you're looking at the stream of events coming off of the Raspberry Pi from the Arduino, which is actually an Itsy Bitsy, sorry. And if I put my hand, let's say, on the side of the robot, you can see that it's measuring distance on the analog sensor. That's the port side, and here's the starboard side. Oh, no, I'm sorry, the other way around. then in the center, and then center port and center starboard. So basically that's actually working, and I can get a 0 to 255 measurement off of the actual off the Itsy Bitsy, and it's working pretty good. The rate of speed on this is just I think a 1 second scan. But yeah, so it's kind of working. The only thing is that every time I start it up, there's a good chance that it might fail. Once it's running, it runs fine because it's synced, but if it gets out of sync, it stops working. So that's working. And the other bit of news is this.
I commend you, Murray, that you've taken the time to actually put the exponent in the I²C thing to do that with your output. That's attention to detail right there, my friend.
Well, that's my background in Unicode, actually. I have a long history in Unicode, so it's amazing what you can get in Unicode. In fact, my favorite Unicode character is a character that came out of the Russian Orthodox Church, and it's basically a ring of eyeballs. And they used it as an annotation in Orthodox churches. So they ended up being a Unicode character. Now this is the other success story. Yes. So what this is a Waveshare AlphaBot 2. And last night I went over to our friend's house, and they have 2 little girls. And the 2 little girls put the robot together. And they did it themselves with a little bit of help. But for the most part, you can see they were doing it. You guys can see this, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And yep. Wow. There's a 5-year-old girl and a 10-year-old girl.
So
that's their dad holding.
Trying to stop the wheels from spinning with their hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, the wheels are spinning.
Yeah, so that's all the photos I got. And unfortunately, there's no video or anything. But yeah, so I basically got a pair of lithium-ion batteries and quite an expensive $50 charger, fancy charger, and the robot. So Richard, the dad, paid New Zealand $220 total for that whole package, which isn't really unreasonable. It's quite a nice robot. I was pretty impressed with it, actually. It's 210 mil circuit boards, as you can see, and it's using micro metal gear motors, and it's got a left and right infrared and a ultrasonic sensor. It's got 4 RGB LEDs underneath it, and you can program it in either MakeCode, Scratch, or Python. So we all had it plugged together last night, and the girls got MakeCode up and running and plugged it with a USB connector, and she had it running around on the table within about 10 minutes. So I'd call that a success story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, they're really smart girls, but I know that the older one, Ellie, is going to just go to town on this because she was already understanding basic logic, like we wanted to say if button B was not pressed, do something. And so she was pretty quick to pick up, and there's a whole library that goes with the robot that adds to the MakeCode library. And I think she got it pretty quickly, and she actually does want to learn Python, but I think we'll hold off on that for a while. But she's obviously very enthusiastic about having her own robot, and it's quite cool being able to, set the thing up and let her and her younger sister put it together and see how it goes. So I'm quite happy with that. It's a bit of a success. Apart from that, I'm trying to think of anything else going on. I just got my own microbit in the mail, so I can learn. And I even got the what do they call this thing? Well, I have to show you guys this. This is beautiful.
It's that circuit bit kind of thing where you plug it into it and it gives you all kind of like motor controllers and junk?
No, I got the kitty cat thing that fits on top of the microbit. Yeah, got to have one of those. So yeah, I got that and a few other parts. Yeah, I got another Itsy Bitsy, so I have a spare. I decided to use the Itsy Bitsy on my robot. And yeah, it's all good. I'm going to have to learn how to use this microbit because I have a funny feeling I might end up being tech support on MakeCode. But yeah, it's all good. Everything's going well here, I guess. I basically what I've done on my Python operating system is I've ripped all the other stuff out, and I've only trying to focus on just that front sensor and getting the motors to react. And I'm not even going to try to do the PID control. I took David's advice, and I'm just trying to simplify the things so it actually just runs. And get it to do basically what Ellie's robot did last night. You know, be able to drive forward, react. And once I've got that as a baseline, I can start adding some of the stuff I've got all back into the basically into the event bus. Because there's a message queue that every sensor just sends messages into the message queue. And then I'm also going to abstract. I've got all of the controller stuff in one file right now. So basically, the programming of what the robot does to react to events is all in one file. And I want to basically have it call separate files so they can be more modular, basically. So I've got a little bit more programming, but I think that this week I'll probably call up to Auckland and get another piece of polycarbonate for the front bumper because I've changed the size of it, and get the front bumper running. And then I'll have infrared and bumper on the front. And hopefully by next week, I'll actually have something running. I'm getting close. So that's about it from New Zealand. And who's leading this show anyway? Nobody. Doug. Okay, Doug, you're next.
Hey, Murray, have you heard anything new from Pimoroni?
Did I buy anything new?
No, have you heard anything from them about that sensor?
Oh. No, I haven't. I get the feeling things take a while. This must be Kareem?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I guess I could ping them and see what's going on. I get the feeling it might be a while. I mean, that would be nice if they would actually get some sense. But, you know, who knows? They could maybe have an engineering team working on it right now for all we know.
There was a response on the forum that said that they were looking at it and maybe if they can get the parts was.
Oh, well, I didn't see that. So
that was the follow up that I said, and then the original guy came on and started talking a little bit more about his use case. So it's been active. So maybe there's a thing. Based on that, I actually went ahead and bought the what is it, the 2301 version.
Oh, yeah.
Just so that I could experiment, so that if I can find the time, we could start up developing the driver for it, because the driver for that one should be fairly similar.
Yeah. Because the way I'm looking at it is that if the form factor, which would be the same, if the form factor is the same, then I can go ahead and develop that Mecanum robot using the PMW 3901, and then if this other sensor comes along, I could just swap it in, and it would be an improvement. Even if it's not perfect, it'd be an improvement.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about as well, because I want to get a head start. If it turns out that it might be useful, then we need to get the driver built as soon as possible if other teams are going to think about adopting it.
Yeah. Well, the way I'm looking at it right now, as you may have gathered, is that I'm going to try to focus on my AR01, my main robot, for a while. I've got all the parts for the Mecanum robot now, but I basically need to focus and get this one running before I even consider getting onto the second one. They're going to use the same operating system mostly. So the more work I put on to getting the OS up and running and get the hardware on the main robot running, most of that should translate over to the Mecanum one when I get around to building that.
Yeah.
But I've learned quite a lot that, you know, the master-slave technology, but I've learned a fair bit about how to make that work. And like I said, I've decided just to simplify that down so it's only sending bytes, not high-low pairs of bytes. I don't ever use the upper byte anyway. It's never more than 0. So I've designed this thing basically to send bytes back and forth, and that's about as simple a communication as you can make between two computers. But it's pretty foolproof. I mean, once it's running, and the speed is fine. You can dial it up as fast as you like, and it seems to work just fine. And for my purposes, I don't need any more than that. I'm sure some people might have a greater need to communicate more complicated information between those two computers. And there's means to do that, but for my purposes, for this front bumper, I think that I'll just stick with what I've got now, and it seems to work. So,
hey Murray, did you say one of the sensors that you got was called KittenBot?
Well, No. Oh, KittenBot. No, that's actually that's like this thing, but this is a KittenBot, which is a whole series of microbit extensions, hardware extensions. One of them, you plug your microbit into it, and it gives you a little game pad, and there's a whole series. It's a branded series of microbit toys.
Parts. Okay. Yeah, I saw something like that on the Seed Studio website, and I remembered it from looking at it this morning. It's actually an AI camera.
Oh, yeah.
You can attach it. Can I grab the Present Now thing and show you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Damn it. I can't win for losing.
Anyway, yeah, that's another KittenBot thing. Anyway, it looks like you can do, AI training. You can take photos with it, do training, and it looks like it interfaces to the microbits and just over like the quick connector or I2C. So, but yeah, that's the first I had heard of anything KittenBot. So, okay, let's see if I can get back.
Well, what I found with 10-year-old girls is that actually cute doesn't go very long. It doesn't go a long way, actually. They're not interested in cute. At least this one wasn't interested in cute. She wants functional.
Oh, yeah. So, well, hey, AI camera would be pretty functional.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the next step.
Yeah.
She was really quite thrilled to be able to make lots of kind of irritating, like she played the funeral march and there's a bunch of songs this thing can play, and it's really irritating, and she realized that her parents were irritated by it, and I think she's quite thrilled with that.
Yeah. Now show her how to get a LM317 and make it louder.
There you go.
Yeah. 2 16-inch speakers.
Yeah, exactly.
How to get rid of your parents.
Yeah.
A few simple tunes.
So, Doug, you were...
Yeah, I can. I had one thing I wanted to share. Give me a second. I was trying to see if I could get into my DMS email account. Let me see. All right. I'm going to share something here in case you guys haven't seen this. Okay. Give me a second. All right. I want to share, but nothing's happening. There we go.
Aha.
All right, now give me a second. Have you guys seen this?
I've heard of it.
It took 20 minutes for it to get funded at, I think it was 20K gold.
Yeah, the oak boards.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's being supported, but I mean, it's actually got OpenCV support. And I went ahead and pledged for the Oak D, which is their stereo board. I want to give it a shot. But this is a end of the year thing. It's not going to happen until December. So, but might be worth looking at. This is the D. I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, anyway, kind of cool. A little different. We'll see how it goes.
It looks like it's got 3 cameras.
Huh?
Looks like it has 3 cameras.
Yeah. Well, it's not clear to me from what I read, because I really didn't spend a whole lot of time with it. Is I think that it might be equivalent to the Oak One, okay, with like a additional collar on board on it, giving 2 more additional cameras. So you're right, it might be 3 cameras.
Yeah.
So that would be nice.
I gave up on Banggood for the Max Pi stereo camera. I ordered it back in February, and it just doesn't seem like they can get it. Anyway, I got it. Got one from the Seed Studio website. In fact, I ordered it today, so it was half the cost, but throw back in shipping, and it was equivalent to what I could get it for in Banggood. So who knows? Maybe 6 more months, I'll have a stereo camera.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably the only thing robotic I've been doing this week. Anyway, that's with my situation. It's just about all I can handle it. So it's I didn't get into it too much. Doing a lot of caretaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the camera looks cool. Yeah, there's 3 cameras. I should say it's the $150 one. It has 3 cameras. A center camera that looks to maybe higher res, and then 2 small outboard cameras to give you stereo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what, $50 less than a real sense, maybe.
Yeah.
In a real sense, around $200. Intel Real Sense camera.
Well, I'll just have to resist buying one.
Oh yeah, I can see. I mean, I guess my thought was on this one, maybe in 6 months I'll have the time to mess with it.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah, I would say wait until after December, see if it gets filled, and then order. Because that's usually what I do.
Yeah.
Well, John, do you want to go next?
Oh well, I haven't done anything other than work and other things, and pondering. Because in the process of moving stuff around, I found this I had somewhere. So I'm thinking my next, speaking of noise and how to bug people, basically I got this at a $5 store the other year, and basically it's a plug into your computer and it'll have a pad where you can hit and have a drum system. So I'm pondering basically having a robot drummer. As my next project, but we'll see.
Yeah, Murray, you might not be aware, but John had when we do demos, John has I guess it's a xylophone.
Yeah, I had a xylophone. So
place that him and Steve Edwards have gotten to play different songs.
Cool.
So I'm going to add a drummer to it now.
Yeah,
eventually I'll have a band.
A robot band, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds very Muppet.
Did you guys happen to see the KERA special on Sidemen? There, one guy was he was a guitarist for David Bowie. Let's see, they did I guess it was a black woman that played saxophone for oh God, what's his name? Billy Joel. Anyway, so maybe you could do your own Sideman special. It'd be a robotic Sideman drummer.
There you go.
Yeah. Might be possible. A couple years back, unfortunately, I don't know where I have that tape, but there was basically a virtual robot musical tape, where basically they synthesized the robot. So it was a virtual robot playing music type thing. So I always thought it was sort of interesting, but of course in the virtual world, it's easier to create the image than the real.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There's a bunch of those
an accordion player. you'd be set. So,
but it was pretty neat.
I think there's a bunch of videos from like around 1998 to 2000 kind of thing.
I was going to say it probably was around 2000 to 2010.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube. Here, I'll go look.
Yeah, but they're pretty neat. But, you know, it's a virtual version, but it was interesting how they did some of the instruments that way. So we'll see. But that may be the next thing. I'm pondering the next project.
Yep. Well, Jack, what are you up to? Oh, we can't. I can't hear you,
Jack.
Yeah, put your mic on.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
So I've been just working on the competition robot without much success. It was going well, and then all of a sudden it just stopped working, and I can't seem to figure it out.
Is it hardware or software?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you got a bunch of robot experts in front of you. Want to explain?
So
I always found that when I did something really strange and I couldn't figure out what in the world was going wrong, there was always a bad connector.
Yeah, probably. But I can't seem to figure out what bad connector it would be. It is a mess, though, I'll admit. But I seem to know where everything is. So I'll show it to you real quick. I've got it right here. There we go. So when I turn the power on to it, well, I'll explain real quick what I've got going on. So I've got a LiDAR sensor right here, and that seems to work fine, but then, well, occasionally. And then I've got this LED ring that shows what it's thinking. And then I've got a Mega back here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Right here. And that is in control of the LiDAR and the LED ring. And then that Mega is talking to an Uno that's somewhere in this mess. And that Uno is in control of the motors and the the two servos, and the Husky lens. And so the Mega and the Uno are talking to each other. But when I turn it on, few things might happen. So the camera comes on, and then the servos go to their right position, and then the LiDAR starts. Oh, now it's showing the. So now it's kind of working, except now the motors aren't running, or at least they're not running well.
You know, Jack, my very first thought, even before you go much further, my own experience is that just you listing off all those different components, my very first thought was power supply. Are you sure that everything in that entire robot's getting enough power?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that is the thing, is occasionally there will be these sparks that take it out, but I'm using about 0.7 amps right now, and I've got, I can provide 2.2.
Okay.
So,
what is the LiDAR, or what is the biggest power drain? Probably the LiDAR?
It seems like it's the servos. Every time the servos are activated with the camera, they short out, it seems like.
Because it would seem to me it'd be either power supply or like noise, like electrical noise, when you've got that many things on it.
Okay. What would electrical noise be doing?
Well, if you've got something that's putting out a lot of electrical energy on either on a bus, it could either be like direct electrical noise, or it could be like noise over a bus, like an I2C bus or something like that.
Okay.
But if
a common problem is servos putting glitches into the power supply.
Right.
Are you running the servos from a separate power supply?
I missed the question.
Basically, what we're talking about is that when the servos power up, there's a lot of electrical noise because of the motors, and that can basically pollute your power supply. So if you don't run them on a separate power supply, they could be infecting basically your CPU and other things that rely on a clean power supply. The servos themselves.
Okay.
Jack,
Yeah.
are they full-size servos?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, disconnect your servos.
Okay.
Just disconnect them.
All
and
right.
Then see if it does. If it
All right.
suddenly starts to work again.
Well, the LiDAR won't run because I had the motor part of the LiDAR connected to that. To that part.
Okay. Can you make the motors? Do you have a way to make the motors run? Just check that out. You might have to do some coding.
Yeah, I'd have to desolder it real quick. But.
Okay. All I'm just saying is, I agree with David and Murray that if you get full-size servos there, you can get some glitches. I've got a foil I'll try to show, a slide I'll try to show you here.
Okay.
A little later, just to show you the problem. And but it'll take me a little bit to find it. But what's probably happening is your servos are you're probably drowning out one of your Uno or your Mega.
Okay.
You're probably drowning them out.
Okay, I do have the Uno and the Mega on a separate power supply, but the same battery.
Okay, now when you say separate power, are they going through a separate regulator?
Or yeah, separate regulator. So I've got this one here for, I'm not sure if you can see, for the Uno and all of the sensitive stuff. And then I've got this one over here in the corner for the servos and motors.
Yeah, but are you using separate batteries or is one battery?
Same battery.
That's the problem.
Okay. All right.
Well, you can use the same battery, Dave, I think, but you just have to isolate the two power circuits. And
I agree that the battery is typically low impedance enough that you can get away with it, but sometimes not.
Yeah, are you using? When you say you got 2 amps available, are you talking because you're using like a RC lithium battery?
Yes.
Okay, so that should be able to supply, it's probably a 20C battery or a 15C battery, so it's probably doing pretty good. I mean, it has it. The other thing you got to watch for is how you're grounding it.
Okay.
All the grounds have to be connected, have to have single ground. You don't want daisy chain to grounds, or you'll end up with some issues there too.
Okay.
So,
what do you mean by daisy chain grounds?
Well, in the ideal world, think of it more like a star instead of a delta, or instead of a. Otherwise, the grounds should all come back to one ground.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't wire your grounds ground to ground to ground to ground to ground across all the different supplies. Put every one of them back.
That's right.
Last part.
Mary said it better than I did. So otherwise, wherever your ground is, when you go to your sensor, you should be from that ground point to the sensor's ground. What you don't want to do is go to the sensor ground and then take that ground and go to another sensor and that one to another sensor. That's badness.
Okay, I get it.
I'll see if I can find that slide.
All right.
That works.
So, in the meantime, Harold, you're right. That was what I was talking about regard to the video music thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can run that briefly. If you want to show them, sort of one of them, you could. Okay.
Let me find a cool one here. Hold on.
Any of them works. they were a whole slew of them that I had on CD, and they were pretty neat. like that pipe dream one. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, see if I can present that out.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know if that's you making the noise.
That's the video making the noise.
Ah, because we're not seeing the video. I hear the noise. At least I don't see the video. So I don't know if you have to present it or how you go about doing that.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, hold on.
There you go. It's coming.
That's the video now?
Yeah. Okay.
That's a whole channel full of this.
They have variations of it. That's why I said they have one where there's guitar light and a couple others. And I forget which one I saw that I really like because it's been a while. But that gives you a variation of where they change. Yeah.
Does something a little different.
Yeah, so pick one of the other ones and maybe we'll get one of those that, because they have like where they had several together. Okay.
Oh, there's one more here that's might be kind of cool. Say call it heavy light or something.
Yeah, because I had a CD that had like a whole collection of them all built in one. So I forget which one.
Playing on the DVD to show other DVD how cool their DVD selection was and their TVs were. You know, well, this is getting. Come on, we can do better than that. Say you got one of those things, just lights doing things. Anyway, there you go. That's what John was talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, there's several there, and I forget which one offhand, but there was one especially which was interesting where you could use servos to plug the guitar or something like that. So I may do a variation of it with the drums.
Yeah. I think there's actually a cat out there that made a bunch of steel ball bearings and a wooden contraption to do something very similar to play.
When they drop it.
When they drop and they do it, it's a real world thing. And
right.
You spend a lot of time shaving.
Oh, yeah, to time it and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be neat.
All right, who's next? Harold, we haven't heard what you're up to.
Okay, well, I can attempt to show you. Let's see. Let me join up here to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So, finally from China, I got motors with encoders. Yay! Came in 2 days ago, and they've been setting. I've also got this ring that happens to fit the same pattern that all the Actobotic stuff has. That is big enough to fit its motor, and then you tighten up on it, and now it mounts it up real nice. Okay. I got a nice little wheel that goes along with it. You know, what can I say? And the encoder on here, they say I get 11 hits per revolution. So I guess that's good or bad. I don't really know. It's a geared motor, so I know I'm going to get way more than 11 hits for rotation of the wheel here. So I think that's probably a good starting spot for anything. And so that's what I'm going to be playing with and putting this in this chassis and seeing if I can do find out when I go to the motor controller where I'm going to put that in all this after we get done tonight. And then I have been printing a ton of these things. These, if you were there with us on the Saturday, Lou mentioned something called a TurtleBot 3, and effectively you print one of these, and then you start slotting them together. And they've got holes in pretty good places, I guess. You know, you never have holes in the right place, right? And so I printed a bunch of them. I may print some more. I'm going to use the 2 of these red panels here on the back of this chassis. On the back of this chassis here, as to put my electronics. I had that big piece of steel plate from the Acrobotics place, and I got it where I was going to put it on here. And then I thought to myself, if I can make plastic and not metal, because I'm a little sloppy sometimes, as you guys may know, then I don't worry about shorting things out, because the plastic is not going to be conductive, and this certainly is going to be conductive. Right. And so maybe I can save myself something along those lines. Let's see. What else?
So is that going to be like a multiple level type thing, or you can expand it out to however big you want to by putting the different tiles?
In fact, the TurtleBot 3 he was talking about, there's actually 2 layers like this where you mount the motors between them, and there's a third layer that's on top that holds the LiDAR and other bits and pieces that goes along with it. It takes about, for one of these sections here, or no, for a pair of them, it takes about 8 hours to print on my printer.
So is it what, about like 5x5 or 8x8 size?
Yeah, so a pair of them put together. I've got it right at 5x5. Yeah.
Okay.
You've got a good eye there, John.
Well, that's a good guess. I know my print times somewhat.
They take about 40 grams of plastic a piece, because there are a lot of holes, and one of the things that takes so long is because each one of these holes, you know, it's a wall. It's effectively an outside wall that it's got to go around and draw all those things. If there was just a square block at 5x5, it wouldn't take care that long.
So is it snapped together, or do you have to like tighten screws to connect the 2 parts together?
It is snapped together, but no, it's not really snapped together. It is slotted together.
Okay.
But what happens is the 2 slots, let me see if I can show you. The 2 slots as they go in have holes and recesses for hex nuts.
Right.
So that you can bolt them up and make them secure.
Nice.
And really, literally, this is it's an STL. If you look for TurtleBot on Thingiverse, that's called a waffle plate.
So do you offhand know the ID number for it, or you want to post it?
Look it up right fast, though. Let me go look it up.
Okay. I may want to print one. Sounds interesting.
So, you know, I had and also the way it's got plenty of places, like in this case, when it's got notches and things. So this makes a hole in the center, and you got big holes that jump them.
I definitely like the platform. It looks good. So do they have other parts that you can attach to it then, like spin-off parts?
Not that I haven't really looked at that necessarily, but just a second here.
Yeah, thank God for Thingiverse. Think how long that would take you to.
Oh yeah.
On some of the designs, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the whole getting all those circles on there would be like insane, right?
Oh yeah.
You know, once you got all the circles in place where you wanted them and spaced out the right way and all those other sorts of things, then it's pretty straightforward on the, you know, to go forward. Let's see here. Make sure this is okay. Actually, this is probably a little bit better on the one. Here, let me give you the link in the deal, because I just have one waffle plate, and the model I just found had paste. I got a paste. Come on, man, can't a fella paste?
So the plates are they just held apart by like a metal standoff or a plastic standoff?
Yeah. In fact, that's what it shows in the thing, is that it has metal standoffs, and because they all line up, you can sand them off. And in the link I just sent you, if you go look how the model looks on it, these two plate, one of the layers, the bottom layer and the middle layer, actually kind of come together to form a mounting spot for the motors they have on there. So they keep a mounting spot for the motors. And the link I just put in the chat there takes you to a model that lets you it actually gives you more plates. And the final thing is, you'll look down there, it says Waffle STL, then there's Waffle 2 and Waffle 3, and it looks like they're made some like half plates that can stick together and do other things, or whatever reason you need to do those things. But anyway, that model's the basic Waffle TurtleBot 3 from Robotis. Is the company that makes this whole kit that you can just go buy the thing if you want it. But I don't mind. I'm not opposed to buying kits, obviously, but if I can print something up and go forward doing things, I got a printer. It's sitting here doing nothing. You can do things, that kind of stuff.
Do those plates work with the robot that's in like the upper left-hand corner of your image?
Right here?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
This is a kit from Acrobotics.
Yeah.
From Surface City. And what I was going to do, I'll move a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, those are pretty reasonably priced for what you get.
Yeah, pretty reasonable. I think this whole kit with all the ABS and the motors and everything was like $80 or something. That was all right. What I'm planning on doing is, because my big old battery is going to fit right here from our Ryobi, I'm going to mount this somewhere along here off a few standoffs, so it's there. So I got a way to plug the battery off and on, and then put all my other electronics and business in the back. I kind of like this translucent red. It doesn't print as well as the silky white that I had here, because I got to do a lot of cleanup to make things fit better. But I do like the color on it. So I figured this ought to give me plenty of space and whatever's underneath here to be able to stick a whole bunch of junk and robotic, bits and pieces and things. We'll see how that works. Things change, right?
Yep. That's the truth.
Yeah. You have some good ideas, and you go, oh, let me put that on there. And like, no, that's not just that. Sometimes hopefully it's not going to work the second you start, as opposed to 3 hours into after you started, right?
Can I show those two slides now for Jack?
What now?
Let me show those two slides to Jack, so he can see what we're talking about.
Also, what I'm most proud of, this stuff came in today. So you can see I've been rewarded a Microsoft MVP. They think I do stuff for another year, and they send me this bag of stickers, or this page of stickers. So I'm going to stick this on everything, and all that sort of deal. That's about all I did some Ross work, and I did some stuff on that, playing with that, but that's about it. That's about everything.
Okay, Jack. This is first of all, I want to explain to you what brownout is. Okay. On your microprocessor power bus, if the VCC, or the 5 volts, if you want to think of it that, falls below the brownout limit, longer than the brownout limit time, the processor will reset. Now, they have different fuses in the Atmel 328P that they can set for different values. But for the Uno and the Mega, those fuses are set to 101. So their voltage brownout limit is 2.7 volts. Okay?
Okay.
And the time, the brownout limit time is 2 microseconds, not milliseconds, but 2 microseconds. So that's, that's a two thousandths of a millisecond. Okay, so very short period of time. All right, if you one of the best practices is not to put servos on the Uno power. Okay, now this would be talking about going directly from the Uno, trying to power up your servo from the same power supply as your Uno. Okay. And this is an actual trace, and the yellow line is the current. All right, and you can see, and this is a micro servo. This is not even a full-size servo. This is a micro servo, and you can see that there are glitches down to 900 milliamps. All right, when it turns on, ka-ching, goes all the way down to here. Now this blue line, this is literally your voltage supply. All right, your 5 volts, and you can see that it actually has glitches down to 0.8 volts. For minus 0.8 volts, actually 3.0. And so it's very, very easy for a servo, even a little servo, to cause you problems on a Uno. Now, I know a lot of people run the micro servo off of Uno, but it is really a marginal practice. And So a full-size servo is really, you couldn't even do it. Your Uno would stay completely browned out.
Okay. Is it possible to hang a big electrolytic capacitor off the power supply? Would that make any difference?
Well, you have to be careful. You can cause my first thought would say that would do some help. That would help a little bit. Okay. But you have to be careful. There's probably has to be, you probably have to make like a low pass filter out of it and not just hang a capacitor off of it. But there's no question it could help if the regulator is stable. Some of the little regulators, if you just throw a big capacitive load on them, that's not going to work. Okay, you just have to try it, I guess, from a hobbyist point of view. But I wouldn't guarantee success.
Yeah, sometimes you can do a combination of, and they work. I don't know, the different capacitors filter in different frequency ranges, so you can do like an electrolytic with a tantalum with a ceramic, and then they may be off by or different by like 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. Like the ceramic may be 0.001, and the electrolytic would maybe several hundred microfarads, and maybe the tantalum somewhere in between.
Yeah, if you're going to run a mini micro off of it, a micro servo off of it, a real small capacitor that might filter out the spikes might be okay. If you remember that foil I just showed, let me stop sharing. I'm sorry. That foil that I showed, the current dipped pretty bad, but the voltage just had little tiny spikes that went down. So you might be able to filter them out. But a full-size servo, no go. Not directly off an Uno pin or Uno supply. Yeah.
Jack, what was sparking?
Oh, I didn't see anything sparking.
Oh. We didn't mean it literally then.
Oh.
Where was it? Did you?
Oh no! I thought you said you saw it was sparking.
You had mentioned something.
Oh no!
Oh okay.
I am confused. I'm not running the servos off the Uno power supply though.
No, I understand. But it depends on the same thing, the same principle. If you're running them off of some supply, I don't know which your supply is, but you're running them off some supply. So what you should try to do And you can do this if you, I don't know how big your part collection is, but if you have a small, like sub-ohm resistor, you can actually use that as a shunt, and you can you can put your oscilloscope and watch the current from your power supply and get a feel for what's going on. The other thing, the absolute other thing you can do is simply put your probe across your power supply, you know, and just watch what happens when you turn it on.
Yeah.
Okay. It could be something like your power supply isn't actually settling down until everything is all over. You know what I'm trying to say? You've already bleached everything. So when you look at it, you know, after a second, it looks like your power supply is okay, but everything's been reset.
Okay. Yeah.
So just, you know, you got your oscilloscope. I know you got one. Just go ahead and put it across the power supply that's going to your different components.
Okay.
All right. And then turn it on and watch and see. It's a storage scope, right?
What's the symbol for microseconds again? It is microseconds, right?
Yeah.
If it's in English, it'll be a U, but it's a mu. I believe is the correct Greek symbol.
All right.
The longer tail on one of the side, on the back side of the U, to signify that it's a unit, not a letter U.
The other thing is, kind of what Doug alluded to. Typically your power supplies, they have to have a monotonic rise. You don't want it to rise up and then dip down and then continue, because that, you know, a lot of processors won't like that. So if you're seeing a dip after turn on, you know, that can reset your processor too, or get it in some state where you know, it doesn't know where it's at or something.
Jack, not that I would suggest you go down this road necessarily. I was kind of having something similar happen to me with my servos, and so what I ended up doing was I've got these little what are they called? The Pit Maroney circuit playground. Oh, I can't think of the name of them right now. But basically, I bought a D8, an AD converter, and then also the one I put into the list is the Adafruit current sensor. So what I've actually got on my robot is a single Python script that monitors the current coming off the battery using that INA 260. And then I've also got the AD converter taking both my battery voltage, and I've got two 5-volt regulators. So I'm basically monitoring my power and my current all the time. Exactly. The reason is that if either the battery voltage drops, I can basically shut down the robot, or if the current goes, like, I haven't actually got this far, but if at the point, let's say the robot's riding along and it hits something, the motors will go high current, and I can basically shut the robot down or maybe back.
Yeah.
So I figured that if I had current sensing and voltage sensing, I'd at least be able to see basically what the robot was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a little thing, that thing's pretty impressive, right? 36 volts up to 15 amps, it can sense and report on. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a great board. It's only $10.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, you have a bench power supply, right?
What?
You have a bench top power supply, right?
Yeah, I'm using that right now.
Yeah. It's going to have different characteristics than your battery will.
Okay.
As far as how much current it can source, you know, instantaneously and all that kind of stuff. A simple test is to, you know, use that in place of your battery.
Yeah.
It does the same thing, and then
it does do the same thing.
Point to issues with the battery or with power distribution. You know, things that take more current are going to need heavier wires, and you know, I think we're kind of all used to using, you know, these things, and that's not the best practice either, because in a lot of cases this is going to limit how much current, you know, can go across it.
Should I maybe check the resistance from like a servo or something to the battery?
Well, you can check if you go from the servo to the battery. I mean, that would be more of a continuity check if I'm following you right.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you just want to make sure you've got the easiest way on something like that, I think, would be to just turn it on and then use your own meter, your voltage meter to check different places just to make sure you've got power everywhere.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's not going to catch a glitch.
No,
right? That's not going to taste. So if you've got power lights on all of your modules and they're all coming on, then that probably means they've got power.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So that's not I don't know if that would be worth it any time. I mean, like Ray said, it's probably it could be a connector, especially if it's a rat nest. It's very easy to do.
Okay.
But like I say, I would check it. I would first disconnect. I would remove the servos out of the circuit, and then see if everything else works.
Okay.
And then you can plug them in, and if it stops working, that pretty well tells you what they are.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Your meters may show like it may. Out of the update rates on meters is nowhere near what it's going to be on an oscilloscope. Things that happen very fast.
And those current chips that Murray's talking, I don't believe they could catch a two microsecond pulse.
No.
I mean, I don't know what the conversion for the D to A or A to D is, but it's probably about 20 microseconds.
Yeah, like 50 kilohertz or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have very big bandwidth.
Yeah. So
it's also communicating over I2C. So I don't think the purpose of that chip is the same thing. No.
Yeah. And the other thing that you run into is Murray's trying to measure the total current coming out of his battery. So he's got like a 10 amp sensor. Well, I believe that those sensors may be 10-bit, but I think they might be 8-bit. You'd have to tell. And so the more total current that you trying to monitor, the smallest current you can monitor is bigger. Right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's fine for what Murray's trying to do with it, but it's not going to catch real subtleties. But it will probably catch. If he suddenly gets a short, he can shut his machine down. Which, if you get a stalled motor, some of those motors, take seconds for them to burn up if they're stalled. Especially if they're hooked up to a big RC20C battery. It can supply 100 amps. You want to, so you have to be careful not to stall your motors. Tell me how it was when it last worked. What did you do after? What did you do after it was working?
I took it outside, and then all of a sudden it stopped working.
Ooh, that sounds like a loose connection if it's anything.
This one is a 5200 milliamp, and it's a 50C. I could probably start my car with it.
Yeah, you probably could. It might blow up, but you would start it on.
Can you hear me? Do I have audio?
Yep, we can hear you.
I wanted just to let you know that every robot builder in this group and beyond have had the experience where you work along on a sophisticated project, You make a simple change, and everything quits working. So you go back and you undo that change, and everything still doesn't work. You can't go back to where it was. Everybody's had this experience. And I think the troubleshooting technique that you're using is exactly right, which is what you have to do is you have to go back and pare back all the systems to the simplest system that will work. Guarantee yourself that's working. Now begin to add systems to it, looking for the point of failure. And sometimes a trivial thing like Greg was suggesting, a loose connector or something like that. Sometimes it's a trivial thing like, oh, in this code, that comma should have been a semicolon, you know. But sometimes it could be fairly serious things. Something burned up, you know. And the only time you can really find those things is to go back to square one, basically like in your mind, rebuild the robot and go through each system and be sure each works and then add the next one. Somewhere along the line, you'll add a system and the whole thing will fail and you'll go, aha, I found it.
Right. Yeah, go back to the LED.
All I got to say is robots nothing. I do that on web pages and software I write every day. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. That's a general principle, David.
Jack, you know those DuPont.
Of being a grown-up robot.
you know these DuPont cables that come from China?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a certain percentage of them that don't work.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, because they're crimped on the insulation or something's weird with them. So they're loose. The inside connector is loose. So, you know, if you did something like, oh, well, I'll just change this wire from here to here when you took it outside, you might want to check those wires. When I taught the last class at DPRG, we ran into probably about 10 of these that we had to throw away.
Really?
Yeah, I had the same experience. That's why I started soldering mine.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard me. This one goes intermittent after a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's a little black one, which I tend to use for a ground. So
yeah.
Talk about things.
Yeah.
Well, Jack, you can see the back of my robot there.
Yeah.
All those red, black, and white wires are the semi-permanent soldered DuPont connector wires after trying the temporary ones. Because I have to say that I bought some of the jumper jerky, what they call it. It's the rainbow colored. And I have to say that one out of every certain number of wires, I found out the hard way didn't work. You had it all plugged together, figure out what was going on. And so I hand make all my wires by soldering both sides and actually checking them with an ohm meter. And it actually has taken a lot of the randomness out of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what we all should do, but we don't.
Well, maybe I'm a
or at least I don't.
May I present something for a moment?
Sure.
Yep.
Let me see if I can make this work. How to do I say present now?
Yep.
And then you have to click share.
You have to click the picture of the screen first, and then hit share. Otherwise, it'll show you a share, but it won't be the share button won't be green until you click on the actual screen that you want to share. You follow me?
Did that work?
That's working.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's a flash from the past.
Well, now, Ray, isn't that what your servo is based on?
It looks similar to that. Yeah, it's like a cast, pop metal gearbox, and I think the motor is much more powerful than the motors that run those things. So.
Okay, how about this one?
Looking closer.
That's the one I had in 1979.
Yeah.
Tanners used to have these all the time. I think I may even have a couple in a box somewhere.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, but that's
the 1974 motor I had on my robot in '79. It had the crimp Yeah, the little clip connectors or whatever they call those. Yeah.
Wow.
$100.
This thing is like 380 kilogram centimeters though of torque. So I forget what that is in pound inches. But it's quite a bit.
I can't find the other page I was going to show, but Harold, the things you're printing from the robot base, I believe that's what the Homebrew Robotics Society out in California, I believe that's what they're basing their club robot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where Robotics got them from. They could have got them from almost anywhere, I guess. But they seem to be pretty nice as far as clotting together and.
They have their whole design completed. It shows how the motors go on and how the sensors on and everything. You might want to go look at that. They have videos of their monthly meeting where one of their wizards went through the whole design and what they're doing. I think that's the basis of their club robots that they're working on right now.
Cool.
That's all.
Go look that up. You know, I was a little afraid that Doug was going to the bathroom, but maybe not. That's what I thought. I mean, I just looked up and saw going into a little room and that kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, wait, it's probably nothing we need to see there. I mean.
So, Harold, I don't know if you saw, but I went to Thingiverse, and they actually have the guy has a add-on thing to it. So you may look at that. It has bumper strips, a mount for the Raspberry Pi camera, arm, and a couple of things.
That RoboCommy is
right
off that thing, and he's put some more stuff on there that I hadn't seen before.
So yeah, there's that link for that part in case you hadn't seen that. So you might print more.
I think I got way more print. I had a lot of print.
That servo is supposed to do 329 pound-inches of torque. So 380 kilogram centimeters is supposed to be.
Having a hard time translating that into really how strong that is, but I know that ain't weak.
Say that again?
I'm having a hard time in my head visualizing how strong that really is, but I know it's not weak.
Not weak, no. Well, picture a lever arm that has 329 pounds on it that's an inch long, and how much force that would push or pull on something. Quite a bit. I haven't tested it.
Mr. Anderson, what have you been up to? Yeah, you. We haven't heard from you yet.
I think that's it. I think I have pictures of ancient motors, and I'll tell you honestly what I've been up to. My mother moved in with us a few months ago when my father passed away, and when she did, she brought her little dog. That's a little Boston Terrier, very smart, very well behaved dog. However, at that time, because she came with her dog, we had to get rid of our cats. So we took our cats over to my sister-in-law's, which is where they live now. And this brings us to the important part of the story, which is that we now have rats.
Oh! Can you train
the dog will chase squirrels, but seems uninterested in rats. Yeah. I tried to explain to her that they're just small squirrels, but it didn't work.
You should upgrade to raccoons. They'll take care of the rats.
So I've been going through closets and plugging up holes and putting out traps and poison. And it just seems of a piece with the coronavirus and the political environment and the rat. It's all of a piece.
Yeah. Well, you do have some news. You reported to me that you have been relatively successful in porting your OS.
I have completed porting all of the robot software from the Mini RoboMind to the ARM board, And I actually spent the last few days, there's 40 connectors that have to be modified. And so I went over and examined each connector and determined what modifications had to be made and documented all that. You know, sometimes if you don't want to actually do the work, you can just make a really good document, and you feel like you did something, you know.
What a sense of accomplishment, huh?
Yeah,
it's like a to-do list, you know. You can finish the to-do list and say,
check it out.
Hey, David, I'll tell you about those rats. If you can find them, I usually have a problem with them. I've got a cat here the last couple of years, so either chase them all off, cut them down, leaving presents for the wife. The wife hates that. But I'm like, okay, kill them all. Kill more rats. Here's some more food. Go kill a rat. But I don't have a cat around here. We get infested on occasion. And some of my next door neighbors are like, well, I know there's rats out there, but they don't come inside my house. Yeah, they'll come inside your house. You just don't hear them. Trust me.
Yeah.
That's how that works. And I'm like, no, you need to go kill them. Or make it where they don't want to be here to go somewhere else, right? So I tried a whole bunch of things. The little bitty rat, the little bitty mouse traps, the big rat traps. Okay, but the big rat traps are, and also the plastic traps where you fish from the back side. Well, it turns out that all my traps get empty because the little bitty mouses wouldn't set off those big traps. And the big rats, I don't know what they were doing. So I was having a hard time with it. They're like $40 for this thing. I found it worked. And it takes 4D batteries.
Yeah.
It has a tunnel. It has 2 plates on it, and you put the kibble at the end, and you find out where they like to travel. You turn that thing on. As soon as anything goes across 2 plates of that, they get 50,000 volts to the little rat brain.
Yeah.
I get a blinking light. I dump it out in the trash can. I reset it, put it back down there, and get ready for the next one. I must have killed like 30 rats one year. This was several years ago, but I was the rat, you know, the scourge of ratdom, I'm sure, on that. They work well.
I prefer just the cat. We don't have to hear about it, except every once in a while a little half-eaten piece is left as a gift on the back porch, just to let you know they're still on the job.
Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly with you. I just didn't have one of those cats to do that job. So,
Harold, I don't know if you have it out there, but the next phase after you get the rats is rat snakes. So,
rat snakes? Oh, yeah, I would welcome rat snakes.
He's useless though. He doesn't do anything.
My wife, maybe not use them, but I would welcome rat snakes. I'll call them George and invite them in.
No, you don't really know that. I mean, if the job is being done silently, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah. No, I know him. I actually had a mouse in the house, and he wouldn't. I pushed him at the mouse, and he wouldn't get even near it.
Maybe he keeps the elephants away.
Well, he used to be a show. Don't tell anybody, but he used to be a show cat.
Oh,
show cat?
Yeah, Japanese bobtail. He's got one yellow eye and one blue eye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's useless.
My mother told me that what you need is a feral cat that's lived out on its own for a while.
Yes.
That knows how to hunt and doesn't expect to be fed.
Well, farm cats work real well.
We had a couple cats one time. We had a cottage that we'd go to, and of course there'd be mice that we'd have to clear out. And the 2 cats cornered a mouse, and the mouse stood on its hind legs and went. And the cat stood and let the mouse out because he said, "You want a piece of me?"
Right. Yeah, I've seen mice do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know when the cats had originally gotten rid of all the mice, Bunny built a aviary on the back of our house, and she had about 100 birds in this aviary. It was really quite marvelous and incredibly expensive. And the cats would come and sit at the door and look into that aviary, and they would talk to me, and they would say, "Remember the mouse problem? Remember how we solved it? You obviously have a new problem, and we can solve this one too, but you have to let us in. And they could not understand why we chased them away.
This reminds me, when I was in university, I lived in the upper floor of a house, and the guy that owned the house lived downstairs, and he was an ex-US Army guy, got kicked out of the Army, and he kept snakes, lots and lots of snakes as pets. And I had a rabbit in my upstairs loft, and he kept sort of threatening my rabbit with his snakes. And one day I came home, and there was this one, he had an aquarium full of mice for just feed to the snakes. And he had one brown mouse that he knew that was my favorite mouse. And he wanted me to be around when he was going to feed the brown mouse to his $800 python. Now, this has actually got a happy ending, not for the mouse really, but he put the brown mouse with the $800 python, and the python attacked the mouse, but not before the mouse turned around and went like this, and just ripped up the top of the python's head. Totally tore up the top of the python's head. Didn't kill the python, but totally destroyed the look of the python, the $800 python with the 75-cent mouse before the mouse finally bit it. I thought, yay, mouse.
Yeah, that's a common problem with that, right? When you're doing the live feeding. And I've got lots of friends. Well, I had them some in my house. We used to do the live feedings and stuff. And what the popular thing to do now is, if you go to pet stores, they will sell you frozen mice. And
yeah, but the snakes won't eat frozen mice. Usually, they have to be moving.
Yeah, that's I hear from people. That's what they.
But Charlie doesn't.
Some gets hungry enough, they'll eat whatever's around. So, you know,
that's okay. In the metal building that I have, it's sprayed with foam for insulation, and it's got, you know, the highest point is like 22 feet up. And I noticed the other day there was probably a 5-foot long snake skin hanging from the peak, and apparently a snake has gone up there and decided to shed its skin or something. It's still up there. I'll take a picture of it and show you guys. But you know, it's like snakes on the plane. I imagine, you know, walking in one day, the snake's gonna fall down on them.
Yeah.
Out of the ceiling or one of the walls or something. Oh, and then there was another snake skin on. It was a piece of metal in a plastic bag that sat on the table of my milling machine, and there's a snake skin coming out of that as well. Kind of like, ooh.
I was going to say, I've had snakes drop down from the trees when I kayak. So yes, you got to be careful with snakes. Yes.
I can see now that I hijacked this robot conversation and moved it to rats, cats, and snakes. For which I apologize, but at this juncture, I must say goodnight to you, gentlemen. So I'll leave you on this happy note. Good luck.
See you.
Yeah, that's what we need, is a
robot snake catcher. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind the snakes. They one day I was in there, and there was this horrible screeching noise, and it was actually a snake running or moving across the spray foam. And it's kind of like how if you rub the foam, it makes kind of a screech. So yeah, It's like, oh my God, what is that? And I look over there, and it's probably about a 4-foot rat snake that's moving along the foam. It's like,
I live in a country that has no snakes, so.
Oh really?
Yeah. The country next door to you though is not playing around with snakes.
No, everything in that country is poisonous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, coral snakes, I guess.
Strictly everything is poisonous.
Mm.
I mean, there's trees that are poisonous. There's snakes that are poisonous. The duck-bill platypus is poisonous.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's got a little thing on its back leg, a little spur that's got poison in it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
So how are the trees? How are the trees poisoned? If you eat the tree, or You touch the tree?
They have, well, you know, locust trees in the U.S. have got poison in their spikes. So
right. So you poke it. Okay.
Yeah.
Or it pokes you.
Right, yes.
So I think we still got one person who hasn't talked yet much, and that's Kareem. Are you got anything going on, Kareem?
Yeah, same old kind of a deal. I'm still working on that Android precise GPS service thing. It's working now, so it's just a matter of sort of cleaning it up. We might even release it on the Play Store. I'm not sure about that. I don't think that there's any monetary value in it. It's just, but we'll post out the examples when we got it sort of cleaned up a little bit. But it works. It runs you basically connect the receiver to the USB port, and it'll power up the receiver. It'll go fetch the correction sequences from the NTRIP source that you specify, and then it'll make it available. It'll make the solution available to any other app that's listening for GPS services on the device. So,
okay.
So it should be just generally usable, and then like we don't even have to integrate it in with our robot code, because our robot code can then just call the standard system service to get the GPS solution, and so it can be a standalone thing. I'm spending most of my time just dealing with things like the aggressive battery optimizations that keep shutting everything down. You know, Android, if you run it on a consumer device with a battery in it, it is really aggressive about shutting down background system services. And so you got to go through, especially on the more recent versions of the operating system, you got to jump through all sorts of hoops to keep it alive.
Yeah, user got to give permission, and you got to ask the user, "Hey, can I do this?" And the user can turn you off any given time.
Exactly, and even persistent notifications, you gotta throw that up there so it looks like it's up there in the foreground. And then if you want to optimize battery life by letting the screen go off, then it'll end up timing out in about 3 minutes anyhow, because the device wants to go into sleep mode, or what they call doze. And so the workaround for that is to set an alarm every 3 minutes to wake itself up and flash the screen back on. It's just very annoying. I mean, I'm torturing it. It's not meant to be used this way, you know. So I get it. It's this is a very niche kind of solution, and I think very few people are going to want to be actually using it. But at least it's an example of how to get it done, and so we'll release the code.
Cool.
Kareem, are you using different waypoints to guide the platform? I think you were going around in your backyard, right?
Yeah, I'm not at that point. I'm just worried about the basic service to get the corrections to the receiver and then broadcast those solutions back out to anybody else that's listening. So I haven't actually been working on the robot itself.
Okay.
Yeah, just been worrying about this. And once this is sort of a little bit bulletproofed, then we can get back to the actual robot. But there is I found this, I can't even remember what it was called, something like something mule. I'll have to look it up. Some guy who has done this kind of stuff with robot mowers has created a website that will generate mowing paths for you. You just tell it the width, you tell it the location, you give it some boundary locations. What was it called? Precise Mule or something like that? I'll have to look it up.
Wow. Okay. Is it free?
And it's free. Yeah, he just generates the stuff.
Yeah, I just found it. It's deepsouthrrobotics.com. Neat precision tool. Deep South Robotics.
Mule, yeah.
I'll put the URL up.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Oh God, what's his name? Ross Melbourne had used some sort of, path software to basically, I think he gave it boundaries, and it would figure out, how to mow in rows or columns.
Yeah, I think he calculated his own.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the website, they actually show a graphic that shows the actual pattern that it's going to.
Yeah, it looks like he's using Google Maps to go get a plot.
Yep.
Help with that. That's cool.
Yeah, it works pretty well.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thanks. Yeah, I have 2 of those modules, and I haven't played around with them yet from SparkFun.
Is that a on one of those screens? Does it look like a level flight indicator? So you get like grade and stuff coming back off your robot, I guess.
Are you talking about at Precision Mule?
Yeah.
I don't remember it doing anything with grade. I haven't checked on it for about a month. So maybe there's some upgrades or something, but I don't remember it being aware of grade.
Okay, it's got a program in there. It's called ArduPilot. It looks like it's using it.
Yeah.
So ArduPilot is a standard drone path navigation software. It's
okay.
I think it's open source, but regardless, it's very widely used by drone enthusiasts who have GPS on board. So if you have a drone that can follow GPS waypoints, so I'm pretty sure that the paths generated here are importable into ArduPilot, and this guy actually uses ArduPilot to control the robot itself.
Roger.
So yeah, so once you have that path loaded, then he just like hits go, and so he's basically using full, just drone level software.
Okay.
Even though it's riding on the ground.
That's cool.
But you look at his website; he's got great videos on how he's done a lot of RTK stuff, how he's built his mowers, and it looks right up your alley, Ray.
Yeah. I think I've seen some of the things. Somebody else, I thought maybe it was Dave Ackley, had a link to the Deep South Robotics website, but I haven't heard of the Precision Mule part yet. So, okay, I'll take a look at that.
He doesn't, and yeah, it's got some ability to go around obstacles and as well. So it's pretty cool. It only does back and forth, so it doesn't do things like you can't tell it to compute a spiral path if that's what you want to do. But he's pretty open to people adding in stuff. So if you come up with that and want to contribute it, I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious about that. Do you know if you have to have many waypoints along the path, or only when
the way his generates it is he only has waypoints where you need to make a hard turn.
Okay. Yeah.
So he doesn't create a whole stream of them. He's assuming that your robot, once it's got a bearing, once it's got a heading, is sort of computing how close it is to that. So it's not a whole bunch of really tiny waypoints.
Okay. Yeah.
Although if you look at the very bottom, the last one where it says introducing Precision Mule, and there's it looks like a YouTube video, and it's got blue, and it shows the waypoints. It looks like on the really long waypoints, it's putting intermediate ones in, maybe at a certain distance, so that they maybe.
That might be new. Yeah.
Yeah. In any case, looks really cool.
Okay.
Written in Java. Well, I think we've covered everybody. Yep. So I'm probably going to take off and get back to work at this end. And good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you too. Right? So is that working out? You're in the middle of your workday?
Yeah, I'm taking Wednesdays, working at home on Wednesdays, and my boss is okay. So,
okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to get back to an actual paid job now. So.
Okay.
I'll see you guys next week, hopefully.
Okay.
All right.
Do we know if Carl's going to be back on, or do I need to solve the thing?
I would think you probably need to halt the thing, John.
Okay, I'll do that then. Okay, you all take care until next week.
Yes, awesome as always.
See you later, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.